Thank you to the New Jersey Business and Industry Association for the invitation to join you all this evening. Thank you, Kim Hahnemann, for that warm and gracious introduction. And most importantly, congratulations on making history. And if my relationship and our relationship with you is like a relationship with your predecessor and dear friend, Dave Daly. Dave, are you still with us? You're right in front of me. It'll be very much storm heavy. I also want to recognize the woman to your right, the NJBIA president and CEO and very good friend, Michelle Sekirka. I've enjoyed working with you, Michelle, and your team to promote a strong and exciting environment for businesses in New Jersey. To Board Chair Celestina Quintana and the distinguished members of the Board of Trustees here with us tonight, thank you as well for having me with you. Your efforts, both senior staff and board and members, have helped cement NJBIA's position as one of New Jersey's most vital and influential voices for business. And our dealings with you, even when we have not agreed, have been nothing but absolutely respectful and friendly, especially in contrast to our often overheated atmosphere in today's world. That has been an extraordinarily welcome. And it begins with the fact that we each want the same thing, which is to get the very best New Jersey that we can. It would be an understatement for me to say that the past 15 months have been difficult. We all felt grief. We witnessed the inequities that this virus laid bare. We all experienced the trials that our communities, our businesses, our neighbors, and our families faced. You have to begin with the staggering reality that we lost over 26,000 blessed members of our New Jersey family. But despite those hardships, I am proud to stand here today with optimism and hope for the future. And one data point, this is the largest gathering of people indoors without masks that I've been with in the past 15 plus months. And by the way, the reason I can't stay, and I would love to go table to table and hang with you, and I hope I can get a rain check for that, Michelle, is I'm going to another event celebrating Pride Month with another big room of people. And again, I think that's, let's hear it for Pride Month and also big rooms of people with no masks. Thanks to our collective efforts, COVID-19 is in retreat. And in true Jersey style, we have dropped the hammer on this virus. Through Operation Jersey Summer, which is an effort unlike any other in America, we have delivered over 4.8 million fully vaccinated individuals in the state in just 186 days, and we are still pounding away. I think George Helmy, our Chief of Staff, will correct me, who's with me, I think right now in 22 communities in this state, literally going door to door. We will not relent. We will not let up. And as a result, thank you. Hi, Karen. As a result, we are open for business, primed for a terrific summer season, and ready for the hard work of recovery. And recovery starts on Main Street, let there be no doubt about it, with our small businesses, the backbone of our economy, and frankly, the heartbeat of our communities. Through our partnership with the legislature, we ensured that the federal relief that we received went right to the small businesses who needed it most. And through the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, tens of thousands of small businesses have received a life-saving loan or grant or some other form of capital. But we also know that more is needed. And this is to ensure that our main streets remain healthy and viable as we look to recover from the pandemic. Just today in Long Branch, in my county, Monmouth County, I signed 6 bills putting another $235 million into the small business and nonprofit communities. And I'm further proud that through our budget investments, that we're very close to having a budget done, we will put a total of another $200 million in direct grants, loans, loan guarantees, and other tools to work for countless other Main Street small businesses. If you add up all of the money we've put toward small businesses since the beginning of the pandemic 15 plus months ago, it borders now on $1 billion US. And these investments will ensure New Jersey's small business community can look toward a brighter and more prosperous future. And as I've said many times before, including with many of you, it's not enough for us to make our economy work if the steps we take mean it only works for a few. We need an economy that works for everyone across our state. The policies we've implemented, in fact, are building on the framework of a stronger and fairer economy that works both for our residents and for our businesses. We're already seeing the investments we are making in education, in infrastructure, in clean energy, as Kim mentioned, and in workforce development. In investments, by the way, that directly support our business climate, that they are beginning to pay off. And I am proud that up until now, and it will continue to be this way, we've done all of what I've just said in a fiscally responsible manner, making an all-time complete, for instance, pension payment that folks thought was never possible, having accurate, responsible revenue projections, having surpluses that are records, reducing, notwithstanding the debt we took out in the throes of the pandemic. If you look at all entities in New Jersey, including agencies and authorities, we've reduced outstanding indebtedness by over $50 million, and we will continue to be that way. When I spoke with you 4 years ago, which feels like 4 decades at this point, given the pandemic, I called for nothing less than a reimagining of what our state, our economy, and our workforce could look like. I said then, and I will say it again today, when we get New Jersey's economy right, we get New Jersey right. The middle class drives our economy, plain and simple. But our work together is about much more than just economic growth. It's also about ensuring fairness. I have been clear since the day I took my oath of office that we are one New Jersey family, every single one of us, and we rise and fall as one. This is why we've been steadfast in our commitment to ensuring that our middle class and those striving to join its ranks, as I was as a kid, achieved a greater degree of tax fairness. When we put more money into the pockets of families, that money finds its way right back into the economy. And in furtherance of this commitment, not only have we secured the resources to invest more deeply in our communities, we're able in this year's budget to provide checks totaling nearly $320 million in direct tax rebates to over 760,000 working and middle-class New Jersey families. In addition to that, we're expanding the Child and Dependent Care Tax Credit and the Earned Income Tax Credit, and updating the homestead benefit base year from all the way back 2006 to 2017 to make sure relief reflects reality. And as I mentioned, we have record investments in all levels of education, K through 12, pre-K, higher ed, workforce development. And the principle of fairness is now reflected in our groundbreaking new incentives program. Our future rides on entrepreneurs with big and innovative ideas, but who need capital to get their vision to market. And it rides with communities ready to see their historic building stock or brownfields repurposed and their streets re-energized. I'm particularly proud of the New Jersey Innovation Evergreen Fund, which will pair state resources with private venture capital investments into a diverse array of New Jersey-based startups. Quite simply, this will be a game changer in our efforts to remake New Jersey as the global center for innovative new businesses, working at the leading edge of the future economy. We've had the talent, we've had the location, we've had the great ideas. We've been missing the capital, particularly venture capital, and that will change. I'm also proud that we will be creating the state's first historic preservation tax credit. We know from examples in other states across the nation that repurposing historic buildings instead of knocking them down will create new homes for business while strengthening the core of our communities by honoring their pasts. And we've had just the federal tax credit, and if you look at the gap between actual development activity between the states with just the federal credit, as we have, versus the ones with both federal and a state credit on top of it, it is a dramatic difference, and that we have that to look forward to. The places where these new businesses will be born and grow won't just appear out of thin air. They will need to be built. The hardware will need to be installed. In building this economic future, we'll also be creating countless good-paying jobs for our partners in the building trades. And I'm proud of our incentives I mentioned a minute ago for brownfields, reclamation, redevelopment, and revitalization. And every new business will be supported and connected by stronger and more reliable transportation and energy infrastructure. To make this goal a reality, we are embarking on the largest infrastructure investment program in the history of our state. These transformative investments will reap tremendous returns for our economy and attract innovative companies to the state that want a world-class infrastructure system. And working in partnership with President Biden's administration, we're reimagining our entire transportation network. From the new Portal North Bridge, which by the way was green-lighted with me by President Trump, and I thank him for that, all the way to the completion of the Gateway program with those 2 new tunnels under the Hudson. And our future will be powered by bold ideas and a shared commitment to moving forward. And it will also, as Kim alluded to, be powered by rapidly expanding our clean energy economy. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. So we're cementing our position as the nation's leader in offshore wind, launching both at the same time, the South Jersey Wind Port and the Paulsboro Marine Terminal, which will make our state a hub not just of installing this offshore wind, but of manufacturing and logistics that go along with that industry. And PSE&G will be right there, center stage all along the way. Our strategy will ensure that these new jobs are created equitably and through a robust green jobs workforce strategy. So folks, all of this taken together will propel our efforts to remake New Jersey as the global center for innovative new businesses working at the leading edge of the future economy. And we're seeing evidence of this already. You may have seen WebMD moving its global headquarters prospectively to Newark, New Jersey. Lockheed Martin expanding dramatically, consolidating from other states and expanding dramatically in Burlington County. I was on with a CEO of a yet unnamed firm today that committed privately, we'll make this announcement soon, to upping their jobs in New Jersey objective from 700 all the way up to over 1,100. And these are high-tech, high-talent jobs. Heck, Wallet Hub, which contrary to any rumors out there is not owned by a family member of mine, just ranked New Jersey as the #1 state to live in America. And that goes hand in glove with business development, especially for small business. After the last economic downturn, the short-sighted and failed old way of doing things led us to one of the slowest recoveries of any state in America. And I'm not overstating that. You can look it up. I share with every person in this room a vision for a very different end result this time from the pandemic, which is a nation-leading recovery through smart investments and forward-looking ideas. Over the past 3.5 years, we have been clear in how and where and why we would invest. We've restored order to our fiscal house and strengthened the underpinnings of our economic foundation. And as we emerge from this pandemic, these decisions are even more important and even more impactful. New Jersey today, notwithstanding a crushing pandemic and the overwhelming loss of life, jobs, businesses, New Jersey today and going forward is a vastly better place for countless families and businesses, especially on Main Street. And we won't go back to the old way of doing things. Creating a stronger, fairer, and more resilient economic future for our state has been our driving passion and focus. Creating a stronger, fairer, and more resilient economic future requires all of us. And creating a stronger, fairer, and more resilient economic future requires partnership. And I look forward to working with you on the road to recovery. Once again, I thank you for allowing me to be with you tonight. I wish you all the very best, and I look forward to seeing you again soon and hopefully hanging out. In the meantime, we'd love to take a couple of questions. Thank you all, and God bless.
Frank Preston, please.
Hello, Frank.
NJ Economic Development is a great resource for the state of New Jersey. And through personal working with them recently, it came to my attention that the interest rates that they look at because of COVID 2020, they're not mitigating out 2020 revenues. And as a result, the interest rates on loans are very, very high.
Okay.
And so I'm asking that we take a look at that
Okay.
and try to mitigate 2020 out because it's really hurting the purpose of NJ.
Okay. 2020, you mean as a credit matter in terms of your credit viability?
The risk score.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a fair point.
And they're charging more than the local banks are.
Okay.
charging.
George, will you help me out with that? That's a very fair point. Good point to raise.
Thank you, Governor.
My pleasure. Others.
Hi, Lucy Sandler. I own a flower shop, House of Blooms, in Raritan, New Jersey. Great to be here.
Okay, I'd love to come by and get some
Please
roses
do.
next time.
I'd give you my card, but you're not coming around the table.
Unfortunately not.
My question for you is, it was great to hear everything you just said in the speech, but you went from talking about Main Street and then only spoke about really big companies and driving investment in that direction. What are you planning to do for maybe micro businesses like mine that only have a few employees and work on Main Street?
Most of that $1 billion is for small businesses. In fact, of the bills I signed today, $120 million are for micro businesses, so 5 or fewer employees. So if you go to the New Jersey Economic Development Authority's website, they're open for business. And literally, they were so primed for this, as Tim Sullivan, who runs it, said, we had the tanks at the border, which I thought was a fairly warlike description, but they had literally, they pressed the button once I signed the law today. So go if you could to the NJ Economic Development Authority website, and you're going to find $120 million for micro businesses. And given your profile, you might qualify for some other pieces as well. There were other small business, restaurants, clearly, micro I mentioned, daycare, arts and nonprofit. And most of that $1 billion is toward the incentives package that I signed in January is a mix of big companies and small businesses, Main Street. The Economic Development Authority money that they've put out, the almost $1 billion since the pandemic, is almost entirely, if not entirely, small businesses.
Thank you. That's great to hear.
That's great to hear. If you got a business card, I'll take it. I'm always looking for a good flower shop. So
Tammy would appreciate it.
Michelle points out my wife, Tammy, would appreciate.
Another question?
As Michelle said before, I'm a new member of BIA, and I thought it'd be good for you to talk about clean energy and the jobs being created in the new green economy. I heard you talk about offshore wind a little bit, but I know there's more on the table.
Yeah, good to see you, and thank you for the question. A lot of the job creation, in fairness, is in offshore wind, but not exclusively, to your very fair point. When I say offshore wind, and Kim and I both referred to this, this is game-changing for us, unlike any other American state. So the objective is to get to 7,500 megawatts of offshore wind energy by 2035, which is only 14 years from now. And as Dave and Kim and Rick will know, that's a lot of power. And if we're able to keep our nuclear plants safely operating to allow us to bridge to their ultimate lives, we get the win-win. And it's, as I mentioned, it's not just to install it and have the clean energy and benefit from that and power all the businesses and homes, but it's to make some of that stuff in New Jersey, which is why those ports matter so much. But you're going to see a lot of other venues and areas of jobs getting created. We have the strongest environmental justice bill in America, so we're done with particularly urban and particularly communities of color paying a disproportionate price for the pollution that they had to bear in their midst. That'll have huge knock-on impacts. Solar, where we've frankly slipped over the years, we're going to reboot that, get that into a better place. Conservation, all the new building stuff that the incentives package will contribite to are going to include a lot of really good, mostly union jobs.
And Governor, I was going to say, since they left the microphone in my hands,
Jasmine, quick.
energy efficiency also is one of the things.
Energy efficiency, 100%. Thank you, Rick.
And I know there was another question
This
somewhere.
gentleman right here,
Oh,
yes.
gentleman, thank you.
Good to see you again, Governor.
Sir.
Greg Johnson, big supporter of the Biden-Harris administration. You may recall I met you back in April a number of years ago when you were just starting out. SBA has done a wonderful job offering loan programs to minority women-owned businesses, particularly the EIDL loan and the other PPP loan, making it more accessible. However, EDA, I would like to ask you, because 41% of black businesses have closed
Yep.
during this pandemic. I would like to ask you to speak to EDA about offering a loan product for minority women-owned businesses
Okay.
up to $100,000 based upon simple criteria, such as a 600 score on their FICO score,
Yep.
being in business for 2 years, because this pandemic has devastated black businesses
Yep.
in the state of New Jersey.
It's really well laid out. And you have my commitment to speak to them, George, and I will do that post haste. I mean, the inequities, you've heard me say this before, and I remember you making those points I think it was many Aprils ago in the SBA. I've said this many times. It's true. The pandemic didn't create the inequities, but it's laid them bare. Both public health, education, housing, and certainly in the business and small business community. So it's a great suggestion, and I promise you we'll take it back. Michelle, is it okay to thank you and Kim and the staff and board?